I scaled my agency from 0 to 400K a month in just 12 months, and most of that revenue was from selling sequences. Sequences, drip sets, scripts, whatever you call them, it's a sales strategy we use on OnlyFans accounts to create an intimate experience for a subscriber. We use multiple pictures and videos that are taken as if they're happening live, and we sell them as they get progressively more expensive and explicit. This taps into human buying psychology as they start off cheap, and as they get more excited, they start to spend more and more and more. So in order to sell a sequence, I first have to get the creator to create a sequence. So here are some sequence frameworks that we use to make sure they're as effective as possible and the creator has no troubles making it. So the first, and I'd argue one of the most important things, is believable scenarios. So obviously there's going to be a story behind your sequence. Series of pictures and videos of the creator doing something and it gets more explicit, exciting, pay-per-view content, whatever. Now, we would like to use just the creator lying on the couch, the creator in bed, even the creator in the shower, whatever it is, right? But I've seen some sequences where it's like they're in the car and then they're like covering themselves in vegetable oil and then there's sex toys. Like it just doesn't make sense. And it's just like the problem is, it'll work, but there are going to be some subscribers that go like, okay, well this is literally just so fake. So I like to steer clear from that. It may feel like you're just requesting the same content over and over again. For us, sometimes it does feel like that, but if it's not broken, don't fix it. That's my mentality. Now, part of that is just casual sort of outfits. This doesn't apply all the time, but we've seen the most success when the creator is just wearing like t-shirt trackies or like t-shirt underwear, like something that doesn't look prepared. Because if you start getting into like crazy lingerie and full leather and all that stuff, all these things just make it less believable that it's happening live. Like that's the big thing. That's the big point I want you to take away from what I'm saying. Now, another part of that is we found it to be easiest to sell when the creator isn't talking. That's because if the creator is talking all throughout the videos, it's very hard to fit what we're saying and the tone into how they're talking, because we may be delivering it in a completely different tone to how the creator is saying it, and that's going to raise red flags. That's going to make you instantly go, so there's these videos and then the text just doesn't seem anything like that. Like we're just trying to fit in with whatever the subscriber likes. But the creator can only say it one way. So in my experience, it's just best to let the creator not talk. Now, making sounds, that's a different thing. But like actually talking, I found that it kind of makes it more difficult. Now, more videos equals more flexibility. So when we request sequences, we'll like to get as many videos in that sequence as possible. And the reason for that is if you get a really big spender, and you may encounter this, you may have encountered this, you get a really big spender and you take them through the sequence, let's say they buy 6 pay-per-views, and then they're like still going and they're like, oh babe, do you have any more? I don't. It's always better to have more, because the moment that they don't feel like it's live, they're instantly, a lot of the time, they're not going to be as interested. So it's better just to have the videos there, even if you don't use them. You can always sell them later as pay-per-view, whatever. That's my opinion, right, on that. I just feel like the more videos you have, the more flexibility you have. There's 3 pay-per-views, massively limiting how much money you can make per subscriber. So each clip within the sequence, we like to ensure it gets a little bit longer. Now, it doesn't even have to be that much longer, 20 seconds, right? It's just because we don't want, let's say it goes 1 minute and you sell that for $30. And then the next video is 55 seconds and you're trying to sell it for $60. Even if the video is more exciting, explicit, some people are going to give you grief as they're like, well, why am I paying more for a shorter video? So we just find it's better to just have the clips get longer throughout the sequence. So on the same note as that, we like to have a clear progression throughout all the videos. So that means make sure that each video gets significantly, like within reason, gets a bit more exciting. Now, different creators have different boundaries, that's fine. But what we like to do is, let's say you have a creator that literally will only show, like will only get fully naked and will not do any sort of play stuff. Cool. We'll just get, so the end is obviously going to be them fully naked. So let's just start here and we'll work backwards, right? So we'll go fully naked. What's one step before that? You know, maybe tasteful nude where you can't see anything. What's one step before that? Maybe just, you know, the top's off, right? So whatever, it doesn't matter what the content is, there just needs to be some progression, right? Now, when you're actually requesting the sequences, I've seen people use these huge paragraphs and they're saying like, you will, you know, put your right arm, it's like playing Twist, like you'll put your right arm here and you'll be doing, like it's just like, I'm not a creator, but I imagine that that would be incredibly confusing. So we just like to use a table which will just clearly say, video 1, description, duration, like 25 to 30 seconds. Video 2, description, duration. That's the most effective, like it's just simple. I'm not going to say most effective, but in my opinion, it's simple and it works. For the instructions, on the same note, we like to keep those descriptions of the videos really simple. We don't like to do that, what I was just saying, like, you know, put your left leg behind your head and whatever. We just like to say, this is pretty much my framework for describing a clip. I'll go, what is the angle? So we'll either go, put your phone up or hold your phone. So prop phone up or selfie style video, right? Because that's ultimately what it's going to be, or like mirror selfie video, right? Then it'll be like boob video, right? And then you can say like at the end, tease that, whatever, right? Like we just keep it really simple, 2-3 sentences max, just going the frame of the clip, what you're showing in the clip. And you kind of let the creator do the rest. The first few sequences with a new creator may be terrible, fine. But as long as you're giving them feedback after the fact and not just trying to like make sure they get it right and tell them everything in the description, because they'll just panic and it won't be terrible, right? So this is for I mean, not really. We like to have multiple paths in scripts. So by that, I mean, there's a point in the script. Let's say it goes video 1, 2, 3. Maybe at video 3, there's a point where you go, okay, well, from now, would you rather I wear black lingerie or white lingerie, right? So that means you can then, if they go white lingerie, there's videos of her doing X, Y, and Z in white lingerie. And it gives them a feeling where they're like controlling the scenario, right? You could do that with different positions of whatever, right? Whatever. But just having that choice there is going to make it more believable, more exciting, and feel like a more interactive and enjoyable experience. So now the creator's made the sequence, it's time to upload it onto OnlyFans and organize the vault so it's as efficient as possible for the chatters to choose the right sequence and send it in the right order. So for the folders within the vault, I like to make one per sequence. So let's say I'll go sequence 1 and then a keyword. So if she's wearing a hoodie in the videos, hoodie. Sequence 2, bed. Sequence 3, red shirt. The reason I use a keyword is it's much easier for chatters to remember the sequence based off a keyword rather than just a number. So if I go, sell Tom red shirt, they'll go, sweet, I know what you're talking about. Now, more importantly, we like to use Inflow, which is our CRM, to label content so chatters can see what order the content should be sent in and whether it's paid or free, right? So, for example, the first teaser video, whatever it is, right? The first teaser, we'll just label it. So use the label feature in Inflow and just call it first. There's also a tagging feature in Inflow where you can pre-make tags. So we've made a free tag and a paid tag. So then I'll tag that video as free. So they'll see first free. Let's say the second video is a boob reveal video. So I'll go second, whatever happens in the video, if it shows anything, and I keep this really simple, this is just a 2-word description. Second, boob reveal. So that's the label, second boob reveal. And then we'll tag it as paid, and so on. That way, the chatters are never gonna send something that's meant to be free and charge $100 for it, and they're not gonna send the last video in the sequence free as a teaser. Believe me, I've had both happen. So now we've got our sequence in the vault, it's labeled, ready to go. So how do we go from a normal conversation with a subscriber and transition that into selling? Now, just some ground rules. I always like to qualify a subscriber before trying to sell them content. That means, are they in a position to be sold? For example, if you ask a subscriber, like, what are you doing? And they go, I'm on lunch break and I'm going back to work in 10 minutes and I'm surrounded by all my friends. Probably not the best time to try and sell them a sequence. But if they say, I'm at home, I'm just lying in bed doing nothing, well, that would be probably the ideal situation to sell them a sequence. Now, in my experience, the most common place for error when selling a sequence is during the transition. If a subscriber suspects that you are actively trying to sell them and it seems premeditated, it's going to kill the magic and they're not going to be as interested most of the time. So how do we actually transition without them realizing what we're doing? So I like to use these 3 kinds of initiation to make that as seamless as possible. So the first and easiest is going to be a subscriber initiation. That's literally when a subscriber is already aroused, which is common. They come on OF and they're horny, and they will steer the conversation towards sexting, selling, whatever. But the trick with this is not to, the second they show any form of excitement or they want content or anything, don't go from 0 to 100. Oh my God, babe, I'm so horny, whatever. It's gonna seem really fake if you pace the situation and you make it seem like the subscriber is slowly turning the creator on. It's gonna seem way more real, way more authentic, and that's great. So that's ideal, but that's not gonna happen every time. Now, content initiation is a bit different. This is a bit more forward. In sequences, we obviously have free teasers. So if we send a free piece of content first, not explicit or anything, just a teaser like, I'm in bed, I'm looking for something to watch, whatever it is, that is going to, a lot of the time, like spark that sort of flirty conversation because, you know, they're here for a reason. They're attracted to the creator, whatever. Sending a piece of content, it'll help you in steering the conversation towards selling. But the trick is, when you send the content, don't go like, you ready for me to show you something, babe? Just go, I'm in bed. And they'll go, wow, you look so good. Cool, bang, you're in, all right? Now, the trickiest one is conversational initiation. That means subtly bringing up topics of conversation that will slowly move towards selling. For example, that could be, you could ask, oh, do you find it weird when girls make the first move? Most guys are just going to give you their opinion, but with this, always root your question and provide a reason why you asked it. So you could say, do you find it weird when girls make the first move? I'm only asking because my friend, her boyfriend said it's really weird when she does that. And they're probably going to go, oh no, I find that so hot, blah, blah, blah. And then slowly we can move into us selling because we've brought up the topic of sex, right? And then we can slowly move into it. So if we use these and we steer away from the usual tropes of, do you want me to get naughty for you? Or do you want to see more of me? That's like literally Chatter Express. Everyone is going to know that it's an agency. Try to be subtle with it and practice some of these. These have worked really well for me. Great, so we've transitioned from a normal conversation into our selling. It's time to actually deliver the sequence. So the first and most important thing is pin your prospect. The amount of times chatters haven't done this and I've seen them just fumble the bag, like on Inflow at least, you can right click on a chat and click open in a new tab. That's going to open up a little tab at the top of the screen. Let's say we're selling a sequence to Tom. There's going to be a little window at the top that says Tom, and you click on it to open his chat, there'll be a little red dot next to it when he's replied. Great. That means that we're not going to just forget about who we're selling and, lose money, right? Now, extremely important as well, pacing. Like I was saying before, you don't want to go from 0 to 100 with the excitement factor, with the sexting, because think of it like this, right? If we're trying to arouse the sub, whatever, right? And we just go from baseline to the most exciting thing you could ever talk about, like instantly. Where can they go from here? Down. We want to sustain the sub and be able to sell them content over a long period of time that gets more and more exciting. So we want a steady incline of excitement, right? Rather than just all the way up and then after the second pay-per-view they fall off, right? Now, personalization. To make it as enjoyable for the sub as possible, personalize the sexting to what they like, right? So you should be asking this as you get to know them, as you build connection, and they're probably going to tell you the most as you're actually sexting with them. They'll respond well to certain things. This should be recorded in the notes, right? I find the most powerful part of this, of preference with sexting, is like power dynamics. So the dominant versus submissive thing. I know it's weird, but it's true. This will change how you deliver the sexting. So if a subscriber is more dominant, that means they want to feel powerful. You sort of have to go, I'm doing all this for you. Like, what do you want? What do you want me to do? Let them feel like they're in control of this hypothetical scenario. But if they're submissive, right, if they're more submissive, then it's more you telling them what to do, you controlling the situation. And we can change our language for this, saying, if they're submissive, you can say, then I'm going to do this. Then you will do this. But if they're more dominant, you can say, oh, well, would you want me to do this? Like, can I do this? Little subtle changes like that, it's going to make a huge difference. Speaking of scenario, we want to actually create, this is really important. Like, this is probably the most important thing about selling sequences at all, right? Instead of just random sexual talk going like, oh, this is turning me on so much, like, wow, like, which a lot of chatters I've seen do, we want to create a hypothetical scenario of what we would be doing with the sub if they were together. That's like what sexting is. Like, you're making a story about what they would be doing if they were together. So we want to create a scenario which has a clear beginning, middle, end, whatever. And that's going to be what we can use to pace, like I was saying before. So you start with the, at first I'd be teasing, and then I'd be doing this, and then I'd be doing this. And then you move on to the next thing, which is like, I'm not going to go in great detail, but you get the idea. But you don't want to just go, no, we're teasing, and then squirting everywhere, right? I don't know. Pacing, right? Pace and stick to a scenario. So it's one story that they can imagine, and it's like they're watching a little movie in their head, if you know what I'm saying, right? And a big part of this is expanding on what you're saying. So I might actually go into more detail on that right now. So expanding pretty much boils down to getting more words for your message. And this is a great way of pacing the scenario like I was talking about, and also making it more exciting for the subscriber, right? So here's a short little example. Let's say I said, I woke up and went for a drive. Try to imagine that in your head. You probably kind of can, but what if I said, I woke up, walked slowly down the stairs, opened up the big wooden door, and went for a drive in my yellow SUV? You can clearly see that in your head, right? Compared to this. Now, hopefully you can apply what I'm saying to sexting. Of course, this is YouTube and I probably can't do this for sexting, but you know what I'm saying, right? Having that detail and having more words for your idea is going to make it more exciting. It's going to pace it, it's going to seem more high effort, and it's overall going to be more enjoyable for the sub. So now we can start sending some pay-per-views. So, very important, set a timer for as long as the video you're about to send is before sending it. So if it's a 2-minute video, set a 2-minute, maybe 2-minute 20-second timer, so the subscriber believes that you actually took the content. And as that timer is ticking down, don't text them, because then obviously it's fake. So very important. Now, timing the pay-per-views. When do we actually send them? How frequently do we send the pay-per-views? Well, I have the best diagram in the world here for you. So that's the first pay-per-view. Let's say we wait 10 replies. So we get 10 replies from them, and you're sexting, cool. Then we send the next one. Now, by this point, if they keep buying, they are more excited than they were. So now, for the next one, we can halve that time. So 5 replies, for example. And then for the next one, we can just do about 2 replies, and then 1 reply. And the reason that we do that is as they get more excited, they're going to get closer and closer to finishing early. So we want to capitalize on them getting more excited, more impulsive, and get them to just buy. Now, captioning. Captions can kind of make or break your pay-per-views. I've got 2 little tricks that I use that have made it much more effective for us. So we like to use their name, not their fake OnlyFans name. If you can get their real name, and that should be done before you sell the sequence, then whatever you caption the pay-per-view as, include their name so it feels personal to them. You know, terrible example, but you could say, "Do you like when I do this for you, Tom?" Don't use that caption, but you know what I'm saying. We also like to frame the caption as a question, right? Because it almost acts like a call to action, right? So we ask a question that would imply that they are going to watch the video, right? So, for example, that could be, "Could you resist keeping your hands off me if I did this right in front of you, Tom?" Right? That's implying that they're going to watch it. I found that helps. And the captions, also, we like to relate them to the sexting. So this sort of goes both ways. As you're sexting, you want to be building your scenario around the content. So if it's a boob video, then you can build up to, you know, "And then I'll take my top off." And then you can say with the caption like, you know, "Fuck, I couldn't resist taking it off for you, Tom." These are terrible examples, but the idea is there, right? Very important, but basically just high effort, get them as excited as possible in the caption, like this is your time to actually get them to buy. Now, things don't always go smooth sailing. In fact, a lot of the time they don't. So you end up doing a lot of objection handling. There are 3 main objections when it comes to selling sequences. So a big one is that they suspect that the content is pre-recorded, right? There's not much you can actually do about this once it becomes a big problem, but there are some ways you can mitigate it. So you can have some prepared verification pictures or voice notes. So when the creator's making the sequence, they can take some pictures holding up different fingers or holding a fork or holding a spoon. Now, the problem with that is that once you start going down that rabbit hole, they're going to start asking you, "Okay, cool. Take a picture on your roof doing a handstand." And it's just like, okay, well, this is just, you know. So ideally, you don't want it to get to that point. You can also have voice notes pre-recorded. What we've done is we've got the creator to record generic voice notes going like, "Oh, it's me, Charlie. It's me, Tom." And you just put in ChatGPT, go, "What are the 100 most common male names?" And that's fine until someone's name is like Jaquavion Tavius or something, you know what I mean? So now, these aren't really handles, these are just sort of preparing for the objection, right? It goes back to what I was saying before. The realistic scenario is going to make it much more believable that the content is taken in the moment. That's why you don't want to be doing like these crazy stories that people do. Do you know what I mean? Just simple stuff that's believable, like the creators at home watching something on their TV and then XYZ happens. It also comes down to your transition, right? So if you transition smoothly and they don't feel it's premeditated, they're going to be more likely to believe that the content is taken in the moment. If you just do this, like, if you just go, "Oh, are you ready to see me get naked for you?" Like, a lot of the time they're going to know what you're doing and they'll suspect that it's pre-recorded. The other main objection is they suspect an agency. Now, it's pretty much the same thing, because if people suspect it's pre-recorded, they usually suspect it's an agency. And now most of these handles or prevention strategies are going to apply to that as well, right? You basically are just trying to make it believable that this is a real thing that could happen, and if they go, I want some proof, you've got some. That's all you can really do, right? Now, if it's a price or value objection, then what I like to follow is we don't rush to discount. So if they go, that's a bit expensive, babe, you don't want to just go, cool, let me just halve, it was 200, how about 100? They might buy it, you're going to very quickly train them that if they just say, I don't want to pay that, you'll just lower the price. So we never rush to do anything for that matter. Never rush to discount, never rush to get them to buy it, nothing, right? We'll prefer to provide more value, so more content, or you can throw in extras like a rating, if you know what I mean. Things like that, little extras. We prefer to do that over lowering the price. And now anything here, we don't want to rush to do it. We'll usually act like we don't care that they haven't bought it that much, slowly find out what the problem is, if it's a value problem, and then we will add more value. Now, if they don't do that either, and they're like, I literally have $30 to my name, which I never believe, but if they do say that, fine, maybe you can discount it, don't over-negotiate, just go, okay, well, I'll take off 20%. That's up to you. To make this more likely to work, we like to gamify the situation. So we'll say something like, okay, well, how's this? I have an idea. If you can watch this video without finishing, I'll take another one for you for free right now and send it to you. It's like, are you up to the challenge? It's more engaging, it's fun, and a lot of the time the subs are just going to be like, you're on. So, at least you got them to buy that last one. Now, changing the strategy, so whatever you do, we like to change the strategy regularly with the same sub, because otherwise, if they realize every time they don't buy it, you're going to do this like gamification thing. You're going to go, well, if you watch it and don't finish, I'll send you one for free, whatever. Then they're going to do that every time. So we like to change up how we do it. That's a pretty important aspect of it. The big thing with objection handling in the context of chatting is prevention is always going to be better than handling. Like prevention is always going to be better. And prevention really, it's an effort thing. It's an effort with the sexting. If the sub feels like you're putting genuine effort into the sexting and you're providing an experience and believable scenario and transitioning smooth and in a believable way, that's going to make it much more likely that you get through the sequence without any problems. This is the easiest one. Price, value, that is by far the easiest one. This is the sticky territory. This is what you don't want. By the way, I know the handwriting's terrible. I type on a keyboard all day. Give me a break. Here's some other things that we like to consider when selling sequences. So there are some subs, quite a lot now, who will prefer to just tip for a session. So that could be, the pricing is up to you, but let's say, you get them to tip $400 and you just take them through the sequence for free. Now, we don't opt for this because selling pay-per-views is the most flexible thing, as you can keep adding more. However, there are some subs where this is all they will do, and you just need to recognize if they start saying, oh, can I just pay one thing for the whole night or whatever it is, right? We don't argue with that, but we won't offer it either, right? So it's ideal that they go with pay-per-views, but that's an option as well. Now, price variation. We used to have a really strict pricing system for sequences, so we'd go, for example, 10, 30, 60, 100, whatever. But the problem became that subs that stuck around for a while, they'll start realizing, okay, well, she sent 2 pictures for free. Then she sent a pay-per-view for 10. I know last time I did this, I ended up spending $500. So even subtle changes, changing from 10 to 15, changing from 10 to 7. whatever, and just changing the prices so they don't recognize a pattern as fast, that really helped in having like longevity for the subs, right? Also, don't be scared to move into high ticket sales after the sequence is complete. If they're still going, and this won't apply to everyone, but you should be able to tell when someone is still in that let's go mode, right? Even after the sequence is done. A lot of the time, that's when we'll move in to sell like a custom or something like that. Because once people have started buying, they're more likely to keep on buying, right? In that one session. So amazing. Let's say that they bought the whole sequence or they bought most of the sequence. That's great. But we don't want them to delete their account, charge back, never buy again. So we need to make them feel good about what they've just done. So like I was saying, pinning the subscriber. We like to leave them pinned, and they should be pinned from when they were being sold, for 30 to 60 minutes and reply to them pretty frequently. Don't like the trick is the moment that it's done, don't just disappear. Because then they know like they served their purpose and now you're done with them. So we like to keep the message length and tone the same. So if you're putting heaps of effort into the sexting, like long messages and oh, this is so much fun, whatever. If it just starts going dry and it's like, okay, I'm good, thanks, really dry like that, they're gonna know again that that's all you were there for. A big picture, we like to refer to the sequence in the days after. And a handy thing about this is we can use bringing up that previous time to move into a new sequence. So if we go, oh, I had so much fun on Thursday night when we did that, and I don't usually do things like that, I can't stop thinking about it. It's gonna be a good in to transition into another sequence. So it's all about just making them feel good about what happened, make them feel like the creator actually enjoyed it, it wasn't just about money, that kind of thing. So to summarize, what has made sequences so effective for us is that we make realistic scenarios that are believable. The subscribers believe that this could really be happening in the moment. We transition smoothly from normal conversation into selling again, so they believe that it's happening in the moment. Once we're actually sexting, we'll personalize the sexting to them and expand on what we're saying. You have to be aware of obstacles and sort of prepare for them in advance. It's not really one of those things where you can just have a silver bullet for everything that comes up. The best medicine is to not have the obstacles in the first place. Aftercare. Once they're done, don't disappear, and you're going to have a lot of subscribers that are coming back time after time buying sequences.